Good morning, Lourdes.
Good morning, Maria. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
That's great. That's great. And so, what do we have on today's agenda?
Well, we have another coaching conversation.
Surprise. Surprise.
So welcome back to Coaching Conversations. We make space for clarity, compassion, and conscious choices. I'm Lourdes Leeper.
And I'm Maria Sabio. Today, we're exploring one of the most powerful calming tools you can develop, the ability to name what you're experiencing clearly, honestly, and without drama.
Yes. So often we're overwhelmed, not because of what's happening, but because of how we're interpreting what's happening.
Yeah, so this episode, it's really all about learning to pause, define, and then reframe your thoughts so we can respond to life with less chaos and more inner strength.
Yes. Let's start with this question. Maria and I both use in our sessions all the time. What is this really about? Not the story we're telling, not the fear behind it, but the actual simple event.
Yeah, because I'll give you an example. A client once said, I'm devastated because my coworker was cold to me today. And I gently asked, okay, what actually happened? And when she paused and she took a minute, she said, she didn't say good morning like she usually does. And that's it.
Yes. Our minds are brilliant at layering meaning onto simple experiences. We create a narrative, we have a whole story going, but the moment we name the thing clearly, without embellishment, we start to feel more grounded.
Right. And that's a key factor there. We don't embellish, right? And it helps us to break the loop of the reactivity. So the first takeaway today is when you're upset, pause and ask, what is this really about? And I just want to repeat that. That's the question. What is this really about?
Yeah, that's a great way to gain clarity. After naming what happened, the next step is to break it down. Ask yourself, what part of this is fact and what part is my emotional reaction? These are our triggers, right? Where our mind immediately goes because it reminds us of something from the past, right?
Right. Because facts are solid, they give us ground to stand on. Feelings are real too, but they aren't always reliable guides. They can be shaped by past wounds, assumptions, and even just a bad night's sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely a factor for me. If I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm definitely more cranky. But it's not about ignoring emotion. It's about seeing it in context. So you can say, this person didn't reply to my message. That's the fact.
Mhm.
I feel hurt and dismissed. That part needs more reflection.
Right. So it opens space up for curiosity instead of the assumptions. And usually these assumptions, they're negative assumptions. So, let's go a little deeper here. After identifying what's happening and separating the fact from the feeling, and one of the things is your feeling is important. It's important to validate that feeling. You can't do just look at the facts. You have to recognize the feeling that you're having and validate it, because it's valid. You're having that feeling, so recognize it. And then ask, what's being asked of me in this moment? What inner strength is life inviting me to practice?
Yeah, because it's in these challenges that's where our growth is. And so being able to ask yourself that question, how is this situation forcing me to grow?
Mhm.
That's important. And so maybe it's patience or courage or humility or forgiveness. These are the moments that define us, not because they're big or dramatic, but because they shape our character.
Right. We want to think about sometimes, what would my higher self, who do I want to become? Because every obstacle, every emotional obstacle or event that you have that you can overcome really is shaping your character. And when you ask that question, you shift from feeling like a victim of your emotions to being an agent of your response. And that's really powerful.
Right. And even asking, what would integrity look like here, can bring so much clarity. So, this next lens is one of my favorites, the idea of zooming out and asking, how does this moment fit into the broader arc of my life?
Right. We can get so tunnel visioned by one interaction, one outcome, or one bad day. But when you step back and ask, will this matter in a year from now? Will it matter this weekend? Will it matter even when I get home? Or what's this moment teaching me about who I want to be? And you reclaim perspective.
Yes, this practice doesn't dismiss the moment, it just returns it to proportion. It reminds us that we're part of something bigger and that most of what we get stuck on is temporary, impermanent. So
Right.
respond with wisdom, not reflex.
Yes. Once you've clarified what's really happening and identified your emotional filter and chosen the right response, now you get to respond intentionally instead of being reactive.
And that's where real peace comes from. You're not just riding the waves of emotion, you're learning to surf.
Right. You don't have to let everything shake you. That doesn't mean you don't feel. It just means you feel with awareness. You pause. You name the feeling. You choose. And then you move forward and with confidence.
Yeah, so here's a quick checklist, some practical tips to use in the moment when life feels intense or unclear. Number one, pause and ask, what is this really about? Number two, break it down. What's fact and what's feeling? Number three, ask, what virtue or strength is needed here? Number four, zoom out. Will this matter later? And what does it teach me? Number five, choose your response calmly, clearly, intentionally.
Remember, this is a practice that you can use anytime. A difficult conversation, a sudden disappointment, or even an overwhelming day. It doesn't take perfection, just a little curiosity and self awareness. It's that pause instead of just reacting. It's taking back your power and taking back your agency to respond with clarity.
Hmm. So, the next time life throws something heavy or unclear your way, remember, you don't need to react right away. You can pause, name it, and ask yourself, what is being asked of me right now?
And when you do, you're not just getting through the moment, you're growing through it. That's the real power of mindful perception.
So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs a moment of calm and clarity today.
Yeah, great. And, drop a comment below. What's one moment recently where you paused and you saw things clearly and you responded with more intention? We'd love to hear the story.
Until next time, take care of your thoughts, take care of your heart, and keep showing up with honesty and grace.